normal people become terrified of criminals.
Shots were just fired. Police just came out and told us, and we're headed there right now.
They become terrified of their own government.
We got this from the New York Times. House censures Jamaal Bowman for false fire alarm. Lawmakers voted to formally rebuke Mr. Bowman for setting off a false fire alarm in the House office building, the latest partisan use of a once rare congressional action formerly reserved for grave offenses. Rep. Crane, what is censure? What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just basically like a slap on the wrist. I mean, it's really not anything substantive. I mean,
nothing happened.
He's gonna have commercials run up, by his opponents that he was censured, but it really doesn't do much. And it
doesn't do anything.
Not really.
No, it's official. It's official. It's the official way for Congress to disapprove of you.
Yeah, he had to go down to. It happened today. I was, there on the House floor, and he basically had to go down to the well, which is like right in front of where the speaker's chair is, and they read his censure, and he had to stand there publicly, and all the Democrats crowded around him.
Didn't they all vote in support of him or something?
Yeah, the Democrats voted in support of him, but he did pull. Obviously, he pulled the fire alarm. Pulled the fire alarm, and I remember the day it happened, and I thought it was a joke when people were telling me that he pulled the fire alarm, and it was kind of ironic and funny that he was a principal. And he was acting like he thought it was like going to let him out of the door or something.
He should be in jail,
okay.
And I think he should be expelled from Congress. I think censure is too light. Let me ask you, why was Santos expelled?
For being too awesome.
but seriously though, what was the actual offense he committed in Congress that warranted expulsion?
Yeah, I know he had a bunch of indictments. I didn't vote to expel him. I voted to keep him. But I know that the New York delegation was really pushing hard for him to go. And this was just my theory, is just my thought. I think that a lot of the New York constituents and donors that got burnt by Santos were putting a lot of pressure on those guys to get rid of George. Now, if you ever met George in person, like the guys, he's hilarious. I'm not going to sit here and defend George's persona.
I will.
What he did.
What did he do? I don't know.
Well, they said he used a bunch of campaign funds to, buy, he broke a lot of campaign finance laws. He used campaign funds to get Botox and get just a bunch of consumer goods and services that you're not allowed to do, stuff like that. Using people's credit cards that were donors to buy stuff like that. So he had a bunch of indictments.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean,
that's serious.
But my concern with it is, though, if that becomes the standard, right? You're indicted, and then we can kick you out. We can kick you out of Congress because of a report the ethics committee did. In my opinion, that opens up, a pretty big door, especially when we're watching, former President Trump. They're trying to do the same thing to him. They're trying to destroy him with lawfare and indictments. And so I don't like the precedent. It's why many of us tried to save George, and we saved him more. We saved him in the past, but
because he's not convicted of anything.
No.
Could he be? That's wild.
Oh yeah, he can be. And some of my colleagues, I've talked to some of my colleagues who are lawyers and prosecutors who do believe he will be, but I don't know, man. That's not my area.
I don't know what else that means. I mean, Trump will be convicted. I don't see a scenario in which Trump is acquitted by these liberal juries.
I don't either.
But I would think you would wait until conviction before you expel Congress.
Which is why I think many of us were trying to save him,
But we know Jamaal Bowman intentionally pulled the fire alarm. We know he lied about it. He's on camera pulling the warning signs off the door, or he flicks one onto the floor and then pulls the alarm and runs away. He didn't try to open the door. He lied. And I'm surprised that you can have a member of Congress commit a crime on camera, caught doing it, to subvert the political process, and this is it?
Yeah.
A slap on the wrist?
Yeah, if it was at 4 a.m. and he was pranking people, that would be different than if he was doing it during
Still a crime.
Yeah, but now he was doing it during a congressional proceeding to try and delay the proceeding. That's insidious.
I don't know his intent. I assume it's to delay the proceeding, but did it delay a proceeding?
I don't know that it delayed the proceeding, and I heard that's what his intent was. I don't know exactly what his intent was, but yeah, that's what he did.
He said it was because he was late and he needed to get out the door or something.
Yeah.
And so he took the sign off the door that said emergency exit.
Well, it's funny because a couple of my colleagues, Andy Biggs is in that same building, Congressman Biggs, and he went to that exit along with some other guys, saw that they had already cordoned it off, and so they just went around to a different exit. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that he did what he did, but honestly, I don't know why that surprises you, Tim. I mean, it's Congress, man. How many Menendez has gold bars. I mean,
That's the thing.
it's like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
the place is ripe with
that type
of stuff.
I was hanging out at the local poker room last week, and someone asked, some guy said, I'll make a bet with all, older guy, just out of the blue goes, I'll make a $20 bet with all of you that, he goes, right now, the approval rating of Congress is 17%, but all the 80% of Congress will be reelected in 2024.
Yeah.
And I explained to him, I was like, well, yeah, it's because we like our rep, we hate all yours. Yeah. So Congress is going to have a low approval rating.
Yeah.
But it is funny considering nobody likes Congress.
Yeah.
It's just approval rating in the gutter. Everybody views it as corrupt.
I don't like it either.
How many? I think I was talking to Matt Gaetz, and he said there's like what number did he give? 10 or 12 good members of Congress or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that, man. It's pretty
Maybe
small.
It's more.
It's pretty small.
Like, how do you be considered good in Congress? Because like obstructing kind of is your job, but if you obstruct too much, then are you considered a bad guy?
Yeah,
like Thomas Massey kind of gets that from time to time.
I definitely fall under that. I would say that label, if you will. But you're right, it is tough because you don't want to obstruct to the point where you can't get anything done. But at the same time, pick a topic, whether you're talking about the border, whether you're talking about the national debt, 33 trillion plus in debt, $2 trillion annual deficit, and what we do under Republican control in this Congress. We made a deal with Joe Biden, an additional $4 trillion to the national debt. And so it's like, it doesn't really matter what topic you pick. I think that we're failing. And, so if you're obstructing that type of failure, in my opinion,
I think we're an idiocracy. Right?
Oh, 100%. The movie, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
They're watering the crops with Mountain Dew.
With basically Gatorade.
Basically.
Okay. Yeah, he's like
glyphosate. To be honest,
he's like, is this Gatorade? Yeah, that was it. Luke Wilson.
It's what
great.
It's what plants crave.
It's got what plants crave.
Right.
And he's basically salting the earth. But I feel like we're actually in that. And the reason why is I look at Jamaal Bowman and I'm like, what a scumbag. And this is why everything's broken. This is why everybody hates Congress. This is why nothing's getting fixed. This is why we're having all these problems. Well, I should say it is a component of. I think we have cultural issues.
Yeah.
But I look at so many of these members of Congress, and it's crazy to me that Jamaal Bowman pulled the fire alarm. Jamie Raskin falsely accused me of advocating for January 6th in the J6 hearings.
Yeah.
Because I reported on a Fox News story that Donald Trump called for protests on January 6th. So before January 6th happens, I'm reading a news story from Fox News where I'm like, wow, Trump's calling for a protest. That's going to get crazy. Like, things will get crazy down there if Trump calls for this.
Yeah.
He runs clips of me out of context, included in a montage of people screaming, kick the door in, and things like this.
Right.
That guy's 20 minutes from here, Raskin. People who work at this company, he represents them.
Right.
These people, I just look at them all. They are, it is the dregs of humanity.
Yeah.
Scum, lying, cheating, stealing without a care for anybody else. They don't want to make anyone's life better. They want to make their own lives better. They want to watch. You know what they are? They are the people stealing the fine china from the Titanic, knowing the iceberg hit, but they're going to run to the emergency rafts before anybody finds out, the emergency boats.
Yeah. I often use that same analogy. I mean, there's a lot of problems with Congress, but I think it is important that we always remember that, like Andrew Breitbart said a long time ago, he said that politics is always downstream of culture.
Yep.
So you don't see things get to the halls of Congress until they've been permeating in culture for a decade, 5 years at a minimum.
Speeding up though.
Oh, it is. But, and that's how I feel a lot of time, because, you'll sit there and you'll just watch, good amendment or this good bill go down, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? And I think, to your point, Tim, it is there is a certain level of that, like, hey, this thing is going down. I'm going to get mine on the way off, right?
Yep.
I 100% believe that there are folks up there that's their mentality.
I think it's most of them.
I got the vibe that there's too many people for the representatives to represent. Like, how many people are in your
so most reps rep about 750,000 people.
And it's like, I mean, I represent myself. I can't really even represent Tim properly if I tried, because I'm not Tim.
Yeah.
So like the idea that back in the day, the least worst thing we could do is send some brilliant guy to go represent the 7,000 of us, and hopefully he's going to know what we all kind of need and want in our community. But now we didn't. It's so unrepresentative of the humans, because there's such a diverse desire and belief within systems. Like, I've had this idea, like, what if we just everyone gets gets like the power of the House of Representatives now. We all can work from home. We can write legislation and pass it onto a system where we can all read it and put amendments. And then after 30 days, we can all vote on it to pass it into the Senate. But we'd still vote for you guys, so that if the power goes out, you go to the place to do it for us until the power comes back on. Then we all get back to work.
I think it's a bad idea, and I don't think it makes sense.
What do you think about it, Eli?
You know, I like that we have a constitutional republic. What I don't like is, like, you guys hear about the fourth branch of government all the time, the administrative state, the bureaucracy, right? If you think about it, there's a bunch of unelected bureaucrats that are in DC full time. They look at a guy like me who comes in there and tries to, shake things up a little bit, and they're just like, we can just wait this guy out. He has to get reelected every 2 years, and by the time he gets the documents that we're stonewalling him on, right? It's so far into the future that people are like, oh, move on. That's in the past. And so, I do like the fact that we have a constitutional republic. But our system has problems like everybody else. And I think right now the administrative state is one of our biggest problems.
I think one of the biggest mistakes we made was the 17th Amendment. So I think we should repeal that. And that is the senators by popular vote. I think that senators should have always been chosen by the state legislatures to represent the state to the federal government.
Yep. So the Kathy Hochul, when Santos was actually on the day he was removed or whatever, they voted for it. Kathy Hochul said that she was going to replace what's his name, and she obviously doesn't have the power to do it.
Nope.
And it's part of the reason why she assumed that she did is because she doesn't have a fundamental, deep understanding of our governmental structure. She is the executive of the state of New York. That's why, and what the error that she made is she was thinking that she should be sending selecting to represent the people for Congress, but she would select the senator because the senator is supposed to represent the state. She would, because she misunderstands how the structure of government works. That's why she made that error. That's why she said, "Oh, I'll select for the House." The people obviously have to select who is going to represent them in the Congress, and she would select.
Oh, we just lost Phil.
Serge is doing some deep
trench work right
now. Fixing things. Yeah.
So I'll just pick it up from there. The general idea with the 17th Amendment was that there was corruption, that state legislatures were just picking their buddies, and we can't have that, and that's a mistake. Because now nobody cares and knows who their state senators are and who their state reps are, and that's substantially more important for everything. Because if this country was unified culturally to a certain degree, where everybody was paying attention to their state reps and legislatures, you could get a convention of states. You could actually have the states just be like, we're changing things. We're done with Congress. We're done with the Senate. You're not getting anything done. And then there's other ways to do it too, amending the Constitution through Congress and through the Senate. But we don't have any of that right now. And I think you need it. So I look at this idea that you're talking about, Ian, and that's a huge mistake. And it's for exactly what you were saying. It could take you years to get the documents you need. Yeah. And you're fighting re-election every 2 years. And if you can maintain that, you can get these documents. You, Ian, sitting in your room waiting for a bill and thinking you want to pass it, bro, we're going to get people who are going to think the polar bears are dying, and so they're going to vote to build a polar bear sanctuary. It's like The Simpsons when they built the Bear Patrol. You guys remember Bear Patrol? One bear wanders into Springfield one time, and so they're like, okay, everyone's panicking. They all voted for a referendum for the Bear Patrol. And so then Homer looks at his paycheck a week later and he sees a bear tax and they've got like planes flying around. That's the problem with people who I think that's why we have a constitutional republic with representatives. We select the person we think is the best for the job to do the job, like any other job, and then we trust they do the job well. And if they don't, we fire them.
It could be that the representatives maintain their authority and ability to like request documents, but that we just as citizens gain an ability to also produce legislation that we can vote on together. Because like I feel kind of helpless a lot of times looking at Congress and being like, I have all I can do is convince people to go convince someone to do something.
Have you ever actually like written your congressperson? Because that's
I would make
first
videos and be like, call them now, call them at 2:00. Everyone coordinate, make a phone and just overload them with phone calls. I'll do that kind of thing with the internet video, but I never actually did it myself.
Because I think, I mean, you're never going to, I don't think anyone's ever going to feel like the direct power of being able to say, or very few people are going to be able to say, hey, I want this to happen. And then it happens, right? Like that's not like even the president doesn't have that authority over everything. Like
I don't want a bunch of people voting on how to fix my toilet.
No, not at all. I don't
toilet
want people
breaks.
voting on anything.
No, my toilet breaks, and then we're like, okay, everybody, we got a broken toilet, so let's put it on the internet, and everybody all around gets to vote on how we fix the toilet. No, I want to hire a plumber who's the best at the job.
Yeah, but what? Maybe I'm misrepresenting what I'm thinking. I just like is if you could make a bill and be like, this bill gets funds for a better process of toilet repair. What do you guys all think? And it's like a Tinder where people are like, I'll swipe right on that one. I'm swiping left.
Right. That's like suggesting the community vote on how to fix my toilet.
But then, we would just vote on a bill that we could send to the Senate, and then the Senate would be like, that's idiotic. No, and they shoot us down if it's terrible.
Well,
like they do now.
So you're basically just saying you want to eliminate Congress, or I'm sorry, eliminate the House.
I kind of want a legitimate fourth branch of government. I don't think the representatives can handle the load. It's too many people that they're unrepresented.
The problem that you're articulating isn't that there are too many. It's not that they can't handle the load. It's that the load that's being put on the government is too great for the structure of government. So our government is not supposed to be in the daily working of your life, the federal government at least, right? So like the fact that we have like the fact that there was ever a question about who goes into which bathroom that was at a federal level is exemplary of or exemplifies exactly what our problem is. We don't need the federal government to make every decision for us. You don't even need the state governments to do it, honestly. But that's kind of how society's knee-jerk reaction has become, and I think really like
you're right on that point. I think that's a big part of the problem. It's like you've got, I think, generations of people who have been raised to think that federal government is the solution, and it's not. It's usually the problem. And I don't think our founders wanted. I know they wanted limited government because they've seen what it can do, right? And so I think that's what some folks in DC right now are trying to do. It's why we fought so hard to change out our leadership this year, because we just continued to head down the same path that we were on. And, like the fight we got back into January, I know you guys had Matt on your show and you've had him in the past. I mean, that fight hadn't happened. What happened in January hadn't happened in over 100 years.
It was Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.